Rivals has put out their initial rankings for the 2028 college football recruiting class, and there was a great amount of great news for the Big Ten coming out of this situation. I was going to try and do a video on just like one team's recruiting with the 2028 class and kind of go through some good news for them, but really this is just a fantastic amount of news from Ohio State to Northwestern. You are getting a lot of good news going on here in recruiting. Oregon is obviously benefiting from this. You have a state like Illinois with two looks like top 30 players, could potentially both be 5 stars in the 2028 recruiting class. Now, I do want to preface, these are the rival rankings. These are not going to be the 24/7 composite. These are not going to be the Rivals industry rankings. These are just going to be Rivals rankings that they came out with. They have a few 5 stars here. Their top 3 guys they have set as 5 stars, and you have guys with you have teams with chances at all 3 of these 5 stars. So coming in at number 1 is Jett Harrison. Now, you might know that name because of Marvin Harrison Jr. And Marvin Harrison, Jett Harrison is the younger brother of Marvin Harrison Jr., the number 1 player in the initial 2028 college football Rivals recruiting rankings in this one. And Marvin Harrison Jr. was obviously an underrated recruit, as he was somebody that went very early in the first round in the NFL draft, somebody that probably should have been a 5-star, but they gave the 5-star status to his quarterback, Kyle McCord. That didn't work out super well for him. I think he was drafted either 7th or 6th round. Maybe it was 5th round. I can't remember, but Marvin Harrison Jr. proved to be the first-round pick in that situation. Well, Jett Harrison is also playing football where Marvin Harrison Jr. was at St. Joe's Prep there. Ohio State has a good relationship with that school. They've been able to land multiple players from there. Kyle McCord was somebody they landed from there. Maxwell Roy, I think, was somebody they landed from there. He was one of the defensive linemen they got from there. And then obviously the Harrison family has a good relationship with Ohio State. But Oregon is another team, as they always are with these top-rated receivers, that is getting into the mix here as well. So you have 2 Big Ten teams going after somebody in the state of Pennsylvania. And this could be good news for Penn State as well, as Matt Campbell able to operate with some more NIL possibly to attract a player like Jett Harrison. Does he want to go to a place like Penn State with a more kind of opened up offense here possibly? Are they going to be able to show, more of a deep threat this season with some of their wide receivers under now Matt Campbell and Taylor Mauser, the new offensive coordinator there at Penn State? Could be very interesting. We'll see if they're going to be able to make it happen. Another one, the number 2 overall recruit in the class, Jalanie George. Oregon has some interest there, as he made an unofficial visit there. Very happy with the facilities, very happy with the relationships. Washington, in fact, it's another team that is getting in early on Jalanie George. He's from Goodyear, Arizona, so he's out there in on the West Coast a little bit more. Not exactly Big Ten country, but hey, it's becoming Big Ten country at this point. So Oregon, Washington doing early work there. Cal, another team, the relationship with Taj Lapoy sounds like that was something that kind of is interesting him there. And Cal, not a whole lot of SEC interest, but he did give a quote to Rivals saying that there is more SEC interest coming. So Jalanie George, although he is out there, kind of, I guess, pseudo Big Ten country now, with some possibilities of going to either Oregon or Washington. Maybe another Big Ten team gets involved there. Maybe USC does or something eventually like that. We'll see. But it does sound like some SEC visits are going to be announced at some point. So Ohio State, I could probably mention them for just about every single team here. Brysen Wright, the number 2 wide receiver in the class. He's the number 3 player overall in the rankings. He has some excitement about Ohio State. Amir Sears, Ohio State started a relationship early with him. They were able to offer him recently the number 4 overall player in the class. He is from Florida, and so obviously Ohio State has a good situation there with what they've been able to do down in Florida. A guy, number 5 overall, Antoine Wilkes Jr., the number 1 offensive tackle in the class. He is from the state of Michigan, and Michigan State, obviously 2 programs that are going to be going after him quite a bit. Pat Fitzgerald is sinking his teeth in early on the young potential 5-star prospect. Again, Antoine Antoine Jr. Wilkes Jr. There out of Michigan, the number 1 offensive tackle, number 5 player in the overall class. And like I said, you just got more guys in here from Big Ten country. 2 guys from Big Ten country here in the top 5. Some more guys with some interest to Ohio State. Looks like Braylon Clark, the number 3 wide receiver. Oregon has some interest there as well. Asher Joto, I apologize. Joto, the number 2 edge in the country. Ohio State with some interest there as well. Tyzon Swan, the number 1 defensive lineman. He is the number 8 overall player in the class from the state of Maryland. Sounds like Maryland could possibly have some interest there as well. And Penn State is trying to get in early on Tyzon Swan as well. Ohio State, somebody that does try to venture over into the Maryland DMV type of area too. So we'll see if Ohio State is able to land things out there as well. Amir Woodward, the number 2 cornerback in the class out of the state of New Jersey. Sounds like Oregon is standing out there for him. He does have an official visit set up for Rutgers this summer. Penn State is vying to get an unofficial visit from him as well if they're going to be able to be successful in that. I mean, you got multiple guys here from the state of New Jersey. You have 2 guys in the top 12 from the state of New Jersey in the Rivals rankings here, and both of these guys have relationships with the Rutgers staff right now. Now, I'm not projecting that Rutgers is going to sign 5 stars here or anything like that, but it does just continue to bode well for the Big Ten if they are able to get their money right for some of these guys. They're going to be in contention because of the proximity close to home. You look at what happened last season with Zion Ely and how he was able to go to Maryland because Maryland not only prioritized him financially to get him there, but they also, were able to play the, stay home card and work through that type of situation as well. So you could see that possibly being a situation there where they go with them. Man, I just so much to get here. Amir Woodward, he is the number 9 player in the class. Sorry, Amir Woodward, number 9 player. I mentioned him with Rutgers and Penn State and Oregon as well. Austin Atala, the number 2 offensive tackle in the class. Oregon has some interest there with him as he's out there in California. USC and UCLA making some good work, getting some visits out of him as well, trying to work on getting some more visits too. You're going to have mostly unofficial visits at this point with these 2028 guys, so it's not like again, we're going to be getting any super official visits where guys are going to be committing this summer or anything, but just kind of, like I said, working on getting the relationships here and trying to put all of these things together so that way you can have a good shot with them later on in the recruiting process. Nasir Richardson, the number 3 cornerback in the class. I mentioned that the state of New Jersey has 2 top 12 guys. Rutgers, he says it feels like home with them. That could be a situation where maybe you get Rutgers with their money right, kind of like a Zion Ely situation where they play the stay home card. We're going to take care of you. We're going to give you the financials that you want. And Rutgers actually spends more money on on football than people give him credit for. So possibly see that work out for him here. Number 13 out of San Diego is Gage Weddle. USC was able to get him on campus recently. I think they were able to get him on. Yeah, let me check here. I think I read that they were able to get. Oh, no, I apologize. They weren't able to get him on campus recently. But, no, yeah. They had him on campus back in October of last year. So we'll see if they're going to be able to get him on campus again. I apologize. I got a lot of names and everything to remember here. So we'll see if they're able to kind of continue to build off that a little bit. The number 14 overall player, number 4 wide receiver, Jalen Adai, Ohio State and Oregon. Once again, these wide receivers in the top 30, you can almost just guarantee that Ohio State and Oregon are going after them. Ohio State going after the 2028 quarterback Christopher Vargas as well. He's the number 1 quarterback in the nation. Sounds like he is going to possibly be visiting on Saturday to Ohio State if they're able to make that work out. Obviously, Ryan Day going to be somebody that puts a whole lot of emphasis in on that as he is from the state of Massachusetts. Penn State could also possibly get involved there a little bit more. I believe he's been to Penn State already at this point too. So we'll see how that works out. I forget when that visit was. Let's double check when that visit with him was when he got him on there. Yeah, Penn State had him on in April of last season. and then they had him in on what is that? July of 2024. So that was under the previous staff with James Franklin. So we'll see if they can continue to get him on a visit there. But Christopher Vargas is going to be visiting this Saturday to Ohio State from reporting out there by On3 and Rivals. Few more guys here. Kellen Hall, the number 2 defensive lineman. Ohio State is in the mix, and Indiana trying to get in the mix with this one, as well as Indiana is trying to put more of an emphasis on their defensive line recruiting, and definitely somebody that they want to sink their teeth into here with Kellen Hall from Louisville, Kentucky. More of a guy that's right next to him in their state that they could possibly bring on over. It's not exactly the South, but it is sort of Midwest, I guess, at this point. I don't know. Kentucky likes to act like they're the South, so which I guess they are. They, whatever. I'm not going to argue it. It's just always funny to me that it's just right beneath Indiana, right there by Ohio, and they always call it the South, so it is whatever. We'll let them have it. The number 18 recruit, Casey Barner, Ohio State and Oregon here, and the number 2 safety in the nation. He is also from Georgia. Nebraska getting involved a little bit in this one as well. So Nebraska, another team to watch in this situation. Number 19 overall, 4-star, number 5 wide receiver. Again, Oregon in this one. Indiana also in on this one. Illinois in on this one as Lorenzo is out of the state of Ohio. Cincinnati, Ohio doesn't sound like Ohio State's as involved in this one as maybe some people would think they would be, but Indiana involved in this one, Penn State involved in this one as well. So we'll see how that works out for him. And then just 3 more. Cannon Zubek, the offensive tackle out of Kansas. Sounds like Northwestern is involved a little bit in this one. Really good relationship building by David Braun and his staff early on to be able to lock in some good relationships here to possibly try to get him coming up with some visits on campus and work through that. So that would be a huge pickup for them, and especially with the way they're prioritizing their offensive line and setting that up for the future. If they're able to spend some money and get him on campus and possibly get Zubek to come to Northwestern, that would be phenomenal for them. Darian Prescott, edge out of the state of Illinois. I talked about how Illinois had some top 30 players here. You have him and Grant Bowen. He's another guy that has some interest from Northwestern, number 25 overall. Iowa in on that one a little bit as well. But Darian Prescott, it sounds like Notre Dame might be the leader in this one right now, but he does have some visits set up going to Purdue, going to Indiana. Ohio State has some interest here. Oregon is recruiting him pretty hard. Illinois trying to get, a visit in this one as well. So could be interesting to see how this one works out. And then finally, the number 23 overall recruit out of the state of Georgia is Kevin Hartsfield. Sounds like Georgia is the favorite in this one right now, but that's not going to stop Ohio State and Oregon from going after him, trying to get him on campus, trying to build that relationship. I do think that he is most likely going to be at Ohio State this weekend as well. So we'll see how that turns out and see if they can turn the tides a little bit here too.